When Kevin headed over to Williams Media with Dr. Willow, they rode on his scooter. A car ran into his scooter after he parked it, and now the driver was blaming Kevin and demanding a lot of money to fix the dent. "At least I'm not trying to cheat someone out of his money because I don't know how to drive," Kevin said lightly. "Besides, this is a parking garage, not a public street. I'm allowed to park here, even with my little scooter." "You're a troublemaker, aren't you?" Logan Morgan said as he reached out and grabbed Kevin's collar. "I'll ask you one more time. Are you going to give me the money or not?" "And I'll keep telling you the same thing. You hit my scooter, my parked scooter. Why should I give you any money?" Kevin replied without changing his expression. "I think you need someone to teach you a lesson," Morgan said as he rolled up his sleeves and made a fist to threaten Kevin. "Logan, please calm down. We're on Williams Media property. If you attack him here, you'll be in big trouble." Charity pleaded with him, trying to smooth things over. "And you, Kevin, you should just apologize to him. Pay him what he's asking for. If you were more successful, you wouldn't be in this position." "Miss Boyer, I'm not sure I like what you're saying. What do you think is wrong with me?" Kevin said calmly. "You brat, just hurry up and pay me," Morgan shouted loudly. All the commotion started attracting a crowd. "Let go of him right now or I'll call the police," Dr. Willow said angrily. Logan Morgan was a very big man, and Dr. Willow was really worried that Kevin would be severely injured if the man got his hands on him. Just then, everyone heard a pleasant voice saying, "What's going on here?" Morgan and the others turned around and saw Kevin's chief of staff, Miss Sandra Wilson, walking up to them wearing a very stylish business suit. Brittany Davis was following close behind. Although Miss Wilson's voice sounded cordial, she obviously wasn't pleased with what she saw. "Miss Wilson," Charity said excitedly as she stepped forward to greet her. At the same time, she glanced over at Brittany. The reason Charity was at Williams Media was to use her relationship with Brittany to get her own contract in the entertainment industry. She certainly hadn't expected to meet Kevin there. Most of the employees at Williams Media were either rich or powerful, so she and Morgan figured that even if Kevin worked for the company, he was probably only an entry-level employee. It would be obvious to Miss Wilson who was in the wrong in this situation. "Hello, Miss Wilson. This man left his scooter here in the parking garage. He even damaged my car with it. I think there should be a clear rule that only automobiles should be allowed to park here. Don't you agree?" Morgan said with a flattering smile. He had heard about Williams Media's CEO, who was hardly ever seen by anyone. He also knew that Miss Wilson had been handling most of the company's activities lately. As long as Charity signed her contract today, she would be a Williams Media client and could look forward to being a rich celebrity one day. So Morgan was careful to be as polite as he could to Miss Wilson. Dr. Willow, who was standing there watching all of this, got extremely nervous. Even though the situation could easily be resolved with a little money, Morgan seemed to be very unreasonable and demanding. She was afraid that, now that Miss Wilson was here, even if Kevin worked for Williams Media, he would probably be punished for doing something that could tarnish the company's image. But no one would have thought that Miss Wilson would ignore Charity and Morgan and walk right past them. She went straight up to Kevin and shook his hand as she very politely said, "I'm very sorry I'm late, sir. Are you all right?" "I hope you haven't been injured, Mr. Williams," Brittany also asked with concern. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. Was this shabbily dressed man actually the CEO of the company? They knew that he liked to keep a low profile, but this was too much. The Williams Media employees who were standing there started whispering to each other. "There's no reason for anyone to get upset here. After all, we're in the entertainment industry. Don't you agree?" Kevin said pleasantly. But it was obvious that he knew he had the upper hand now. "I'm sorry, Mr. Williams," Miss Wilson said very politely. "I take full responsibility and I promise that something like this will never happen again." She was very distressed that this had happened a second time and that it had happened to Kevin both times. She knew that her boss had a very good temperament, but she still took the whole thing very seriously. "Sandra, Miss Wilson, you must be mistaken. This poor man riding a scooter? How could he possibly be the CEO of Williams Media? Morgan asked in disbelief. In fact, it wasn't just Morgan and Charity who didn't believe it. The other Williams Media employees were also skeptical. But you couldn't really blame them. Kevin rarely showed up there, and every time that he did, he would spend all his time in his office. Apart from some of the senior executives, no one knew what he looked like. So you think I made a mistake? Like the CEO's chief of staff wouldn't recognize her own boss, Miss Wilson said indignantly. Morgan took a deep breath when he heard this and tried his best to remain calm. Fine. Even if he is the CEO of Williams Media, he can't break the company's rules and regulations. If he hadn't brought this scooter into the parking garage, this whole mess wouldn't have happened. With a boss like him, the company's future doesn't look very bright. Morgan lamented as he shook his head. Do you know how to read? Miss Wilson retorted as she raised her hand and pointed at the sign over the parking space. It's clearly marked that this space is reserved for our CEO, and the entire company is his, from the roof right down to this parking space. If our CEO wanted to, he could park a cow here. When he looked at the sign, which clearly stated that the space was reserved for the CEO, Morgan felt like fainting. He was so embarrassed. So let me get this straight, sir. You parked in the CEO's space without permission, causing his vehicle to be damaged. So if anyone should be paying for repairs, it's you, Miss Wilson said coldly. Morgan's heart sank. He looked at Kevin and thought to himself, Damn it, why are you doing this to me? You're the CEO and you show up dressed like a slob riding a little scooter. What was I supposed to think? Then Miss Wilson turned around and asked Kevin, Sir, do you need me to call the police? I think we're done here, Kevin said to her calmly. My scooter isn't worth much, so there's no need to bother the police. I have a solution, Miss Wilson said as she gave Logan Morgan a scornful look. Sir, you are not welcome on Williams Media property in the future. Please leave now, or I will have you removed by security. Kevin looked at the stunned man and smiled as he took Dr. Willow's hand. Let's go. I'll give you a tour of my company. If you're still interested, I can get you Brittany's autograph. Seeing that Kevin was about to leave, Charity realized that she had to do something. She had mixed feelings and regretted her behavior towards Kevin. She had been incredibly rude to him, and it turned out that he owned the company she wanted to sign with. Charity had really looked down on him. Now she just wanted to find a hole and crawl inside. But she was determined to turn this around and got up the nerve to call out to him. Kevin, please wait a moment. Professor Boyer, do you have any more lessons for me? Kevin said with a faint smile. No, I don't. This whole mess was all my fault. Please accept my apologies. But I do have one request. Charity's voice became softer and softer until you could barely hear her. Just see Miss Wilson and she'll take care of your contract, Kevin said very casually. After all, Charity Boyer had once been his teacher, and she had treated him well when he was in school. And Kevin had always believed that one good turn deserves another. Then he turned around to head up to his office with Dr. Willow.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.